college football schedule draft. I'm going to be drafting my favorite / biggest game each week. So if I was to go on the road and go to these games each week, like if I was to pick a game weeks 1, 2, 3, all the way through 13 and go to that specific game each week, this is my perfect college football roadmap. Okay? This is the college football schedule draft here at Wyatt Zang's College Football Show. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Week 1. Got a list. I'm going to do the top 5 games for each week, and then I'll pick my number 1. Starting off in week 1, there's some solid games in week 1. I'm looking at games like Clemson at LSU, which is easily the best game this week. North Carolina at TCU, that one's overseas, so I definitely would not go to that one. But it's also not the biggest game that week. Baylor at Auburn. That one is sneaky. That one, sneaky, is good. And I would sneakily love to go to that one. Like, honestly, just me and my gut would pick Baylor Auburn. But we're going to continue on. Colorado at Georgia Tech. I don't think that's going to be the most high caliber game, but it's still going to be a solid game. There's not a lot of good games this week. Because, like, Miami Stanford made it in the top 5. Like, there's not a lot of good games in week 1. Something that needs to be fixed. So, where would I go, and what would my game be for week number 1? Well, I would go to Clemson at LSU. This is easily, or I guess LSU at Clemson or whatever. Clemson at LSU. I would easily go there. Like, that would easily be my pick. I would love to just see the atmosphere of this game, the Tigers versus the Tigers in Death Valley. I think this game is the biggest game in week 1. All right, moving on. Week 2, we got Ohio State at Texas. This is a big week. Ohio State at Texas. Oklahoma at Michigan, Oregon at Oklahoma State. That's sneakily a good game. Like, people might look at that and say, what? Like, Dan Lanning going into Stillwater? Yeah, it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a phenomenal game. Arizona at BYU is going to be a great game. I think that's going to be a decider in the Big 12 championship. Tennessee at Georgia Tech is also on the list. This is pretty relatively easy. It's between Ohio State, Texas, and Oklahoma, Michigan. My gut is saying just go with Oklahoma, Michigan. I want to go with Oklahoma, Michigan so bad because I want to see John Mateer play. I want to see Bryce Underwood in year 2. I want to see that game. Just can't. I got to go with Ohio State at Texas. That's the biggest game easily this week. Easily the biggest game of the week. So I'm going to go with Ohio State, Texas. It just have to. Just have to. All right, week 2. Or week 3. Sorry, my bad. Week 3. This is the big week. This is it. You got Florida State at Alabama. Big game. You got Florida at Auburn. Battle of the new head coaches. Love it. Houston at Texas Tech. That's a big Big 12 game. Then you got the game. LSU at Ole Miss. Oh, man. And then you got SMU at Louisville. This is pretty simple. Like, there is nowhere else I would rather be in the entire world. I'm talking Europe, I'm talking Asia, I'm talking the beach, I'm talking Hawaii. There's nowhere else in the entire world I would rather be when LSU goes to Ole Miss. Oh, man. There's no other place in the world I'd rather be. LSU at Ole Miss is the game probably of the year, but we're just going to pick and say that's the game of week 3. LSU at Ole Miss is easy decision. All right, week 4. Week 4, you got Oklahoma at Georgia. You got Oregon at USC, Texas at Tennessee, Ole Miss at Florida. Ole Miss at Florida is sneaky, by the way. Same with Texas at Tennessee. I think the 2 biggest games on this board are Oregon at USC and Oklahoma at Georgia. I think I narrowed it down to those 2 games. We've gone to 0 Big Ten stadiums so far, and we're still not going to go to one because we're going week 4, Oklahoma at Georgia. That's the biggest game. John Mateer going to play Gunnar Stockton. I can't wait. I cannot wait. Athens, Georgia is going to be so pumped up for that game. I think that's got serious SEC implications on it. I just can't wait. I'd love to see John Mateer in person. That would be a great game. All right, week 5. Week 5 is this is the week of Miami at Clemson. This is not the best week for games, but it's sneaky underrated. I'll tell you why in a second. Miami at Clemson. Big ACC game. Ohio State at Iowa. Washington at USC. That's a sneaky Big Ten game, by the way. Auburn at Tennessee. There's more on that game than you think. get back to it here in a second. And Louisville at NC State. Now, why the Auburn-Tennessee game is really sneaky is because Alex Golesh was the offensive coordinator for Tennessee. I want to say 2023, I think was his last year, and then he went to USF 2024, 2025. I mean, that's going to be an electric atmosphere. Absolutely electric. You have two teams that aren't at the top of the SEC but are just going to play a competitive game. So that would be a phenomenal game. I narrowed it down to 2 games. I narrowed it down to Auburn, Tennessee, and Miami at Clemson. I ended up going with Miami at Clemson. You know what? I might do an audible. I might do an audible here. I'm going to split it between Miami at Clemson and Auburn at Tennessee. I'm not going to pick it. I'm going to go with Miami at Clemson. Here we go. I'm going to go with Miami at Clemson, but Auburn at Tennessee is almost just, it's 50-50 at this point. I'm talking like 49.5 to 51.5. Like, that's how close. I did not do that math right. That's not right. It's like 51-49. That's how close it is. It's just unbelievable. I just can't pick. I'm going to go with Miami at Clemson, though, for week 5. All right, moving on. Week 6. You got Georgia at Alabama. Big game. Got Indiana at Nebraska. That's a big game. I'll talk about it here in a second. You got USC at Penn State. That's also a huge game. Texas at Oklahoma. Or I guess Texas versus Oklahoma. It's a neutral site at the Red River Shootout. Cannot wait for that game. UCLA at Oregon. Now, the reason Indiana at Nebraska is so important is because you look at these two teams. I should have made a Nebraska schedule, and I did not, but I'll bear with me here in a second. Nebraska plays nobody before they play Indiana. Nebraska is going to play Indiana. My guess is when they go to Bloomington, I guess Indiana goes to Nebraska. So when they go to Lincoln, Nebraska, when Indiana goes to Lincoln and plays Nebraska, both teams, for my money, will be 6-0. You can look up Nebraska's schedule right now. They will win every game. Before that, you will have the battle of 6-0 versus 6-0. It's a shame that Georgia at Alabama and Texas at Oklahoma are also during that week, because those are my 2 finalists. But okay, I can only pick one game, and I'm going to go with Texas versus Oklahoma, the Red River Shootout. This is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, rivalries in college football. It's definitely top 3 for me. I absolutely love this game, so I'm going to go with Texas versus Oklahoma, Red River Shootout. Week 7. Week 7 is going to be a really underrated week. You got Alabama at Tennessee, 3rd Saturday in October. You got Notre Dame at BYU. I think this is going to be the first test for Notre Dame. You got Florida State at Miami, the classic rivalry. You got Ohio State at Indiana. Just going to be a great game, absolutely electric. You got Penn State at Michigan, underrated game as well. I narrowed it down to 2 games. I narrowed it down to Florida State at Miami, Ohio State at Indiana. The reason I have Florida State at Miami is because I think Florida State should have an okay record at this point. Like, I think Ohio State could be sitting at 5-2 potentially, because I think if you lose to Alabama and SMU, you're still having a good record. I think they're sitting at 5-2 right now with some losses coming. Like, this is kind of the big part of the conference schedule when they play Miami, they play Clemson, they play Louisville, like, all in a row. But I think you could see a 5-2, 7-0 Miami versus Florida State. So that's definitely going to be second place for me. But number 1 for me is Ohio State at Indiana. It's going to be the biggest atmosphere of the week. It's going to be a big game in deciding the Big Ten championship race. So give me Ohio State at Indiana. Moving on to week number 8. You got Ole Miss at Texas. You got Texas A&M at Alabama. Houston at Utah, underrated Big 12 game. Indiana at Michigan. LSU at Auburn. I think there's one simple answer here, and it's Ole Miss at Texas. So I'm taking Ole Miss at Texas for the week 8 game. That would be just electric, and I would love to go to that game. It's not going to be Ole Miss LSU. That's still the best game of the year, but I would say Ole Miss at Texas is going to be the best game of week 8. Moving on to week number 9. You got Arizona at Texas Tech. Sneaky, underrated Big 12 game. I think that's the Big 12 game of the year. Ohio State at USC. Florida versus Georgia. You got Auburn at Ole Miss. Arizona State at BYU. Some good games on tap for this week. I always love the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, Florida versus Georgia. That's always a classic game. It's always close, too, for some reason. Ohio State at USC is going to be a big game. But I'm going to give the Big 12 some love. I'm going to give the Big 12 some love. I'm going to say I'm going to Arizona, Texas Tech. That's the best game in the Big 12 all year. That's my projected Big 12 championship. I think those are the two best teams in the Big 12. I shouldn't say best rosters, but I think they're going to come out the two best teams of the Big 12 after this year. So give me Arizona at Texas Tech for Week 9. Week 10, another really good week. You got Alabama at LSU. You got Georgia at Ole Miss. Huge game. You got the Holy War, BYU at Utah. You got Oregon at Ohio State. And you got Miami at Notre Dame. This is the biggest week in college football. If you are scheduled to do anything on week 10 of the college football season, if you're scheduled to do anything, don't do it. Don't just run and hide, grab your phone, run and hide in the closet. I don't care. Don't do it. You got to be locked in. I mean, you're telling me we get Oregon, Ohio State, Miami, Notre Dame, Georgia, Ole Miss, all three of those games in one day? There's not enough hours. There's not enough time in the day to watch all these games. I don't have enough eyeballs to watch these games. But at the end of the day, I have to narrow it down to one spot. And this was the toughest decision of them all. This really was. For Week 10, I am going to go to Miami at Notre Dame. This is the only time of the year we will see this is the only time of the year we'll see Notre Dame, because Notre Dame has a soft schedule. So does Miami, honestly, but we'll see Miami Clemson. But I got to see Notre Dame versus Miami. This is probably the biggest game in terms of the college football playoff, because these two teams played each other last year. That was the reason that Notre Dame didn't get into the playoff and Miami did. Notre Dame doesn't want it to happen again, but Miami's saying, hey, we want to go 12-0. So they're going to try to get the win. Both teams want to go undefeated. I think they'll be easily 9-0 at this point in the season, or 8-0 depending on when their bye week is. All right, Week 10, Miami and Notre Dame. Week 11, we got Texas at LSU. You got Ole Miss at Oklahoma, Tennessee at Texas A&M, USC at Indiana, very sneaky, and Michigan at Oregon. There's two answers here, USC and Indiana and Ole Miss at Oklahoma. Those are the two biggest games of the week. Although, I'm going to pick Ole Miss at Oklahoma, because I'll give you my reasoning here in a second. I'm going to go Ole Miss at Oklahoma. Trinidad Chambliss versus John Mateer. That's my number 1 and 2 quarterbacks in the SEC quarterback rankings. And that's for Week 11. Week 12, this is the reason I didn't pick USC at Indiana. Because Week 12, you have SMU at Notre Dame. You have Texas A&M and Oklahoma. Indiana at Washington. LSU at Tennessee. Georgia at South Carolina. There's really no big marquee game this week, other than maybe Texas A&M and Oklahoma. But I went to Oklahoma last week. So this week, we're going to go Indiana at Washington. I told you Washington is an underrated team. Damon Williams is good. I think Washington might have 2 losses. Indiana might have 1. It's going to be a good game. We're going to give the Big Ten some love. We're going to go to Indiana at Washington. All right, final week. Week number 12, rivalry week. Here we go. We got Texas at Texas A&M. That is a Black Friday game. We have Michigan at Ohio State, Auburn at Alabama, Washington at Oregon, South Carolina at Clemson. Now, here's my perfect world. My perfect world is I go to Texas A&M on Black Friday, and then I would go to Michigan, Ohio State on Saturday. That's my perfect world. Like, if the world could be perfect, that would be it. But we're going to go the realistic world. Realistically, came down to both those games. But I'm going to go with the biggest rivalry in college football, the most hated rivalry in college football. I'm going to go with Michigan traveling to Columbus, Ohio to play Ohio State. I'm going with Michigan at Ohio State. It's the biggest rivalry. You could easily make an argument for Texas at Texas A&M. You could even make an argument Iron Bowl, Auburn and Alabama, Washington and Oregon is going to be a great game. South Carolina, Clemson is going to be underrated. You can make an argument for all those games, but I'm going to go with Michigan at Ohio State. So that is my full college football college football schedule draft. Just to recap, we got LSU at Clemson week 1, Ohio State at Texas week 2, we got LSU at Ole Miss week 3, Oklahoma at Georgia week 4, week 5, Miami at Clemson. Week 6, Texas at Oklahoma, Red River Shootout. Week 7, Ohio State at Indiana. Week 8, Ole Miss at Texas. Week 9, Arizona at Texas Tech. Week 10, Miami at Notre Dame. Week 11, Ole Miss at Oklahoma. Week 12, Indiana at Washington. And Week 13 is the game, Michigan at Ohio State. And just for fun, just for giggles, my game of the year is LSU at Ole Miss. That's easily my game of the year. If I could go to any game ever in college football history, it'd be LSU at Ole Miss this upcoming year. So there it is, my college football perfect schedule draft. Comment below if you would agree with that, disagree, or comment below your schedule draft for each week of the college football season. I'll be excited to hear what you guys have to say in the comments below.